break down game number 2.
Thanks so much, guys. What are you tapping the table for?
I don't know.
You want to get in there? Go ahead.
Mithy just had a moment. We smiled at each other. I felt like tapping the table, and here we are.
All right, here we are. Mithy, shine your light on Giants going for a poke comp once again and kind of accelerating it because with a Xerath and a Jhin, that's really putting all your money on the poke.
I honestly think that Giants had a really good pick and ban phase. I think they outdrafted the Splyce very well, but it just kind of fell off because of very stupid mistakes, honestly.
Yeah, super sloppy, you know, getting caught out in multiple fights, not respecting TP flanks coming as well. But again, with the pick and ban phase, we see Splyce focus so much on Azir, like trying to take it away from Peppy. And they banned the Varus, so they're like, okay, that's his counter pick to it. Then he pulls out the old Peppy pick with the Xerath, you know, pick he used to qualify for the LCS as well. Pull that one up as well, surprised them. So it's fun to see the pick and ban phases, and I'm not sure if Azir is gonna... If now maybe Splyce is a little bit more afraid of picking Azir early because Peppy keeps showing he has multiple picks against
Yeah, what do you make of that, by the way? Azir is in the meta and is strong. Peppy is good on it, but it seems like he could fall back on other things, especially poke like a Corki anyway.
Honestly, I mean, Corki is good, but it's not as good into Azir as Xerath or Varus are. And I just think overall, I would be very careful if I was Splyce because this game was handed to them. And honestly, if they would have lost this game, that Azir would never, ever be picked again. I'm sure of it. So they really have to be careful about picking Azir in the next game. That's pretty much it.
Let's take a look at the first replay where Splyce actually gets back into the game. And as you said, this is where they had to take it back, obviously, because it was lost.
Giants are just being overconfident. Nautilus is too far up, gets caught, and then they don't even know that Fiora is TPing behind them. And the Poppy and the Graves are just still going into their backline, and they leave their own backline alone and just get killed by Fiora.
And also, I think when you run poke comps, it's very easy for teams to get very greedy with poke comps. They're like, oh, we need to kill people, you know. Land at first CC, then Jhin Snare comes in, then Nautilus will hook him, and you kill that guy and we take something. Technically, you don't need to kill people, you need to force them off towers. And they actually end up diving a little bit under the tower here to try and go for some kills. Trashy is the man we were looking at the entire game long because he was like the only engaged from Splyce into the poke comp.
He had a tough game.
Yeah, let's look at that replay, actually.
Mithy, what do you make of this replay?
Not an easy position to be in.
I mean, it's just really, really hard to be in his position because he's the only one that can really make a play in the team. So here he failed miserably, and it kind of costed his team the game. But then again, Giants threw eventually. They threw because of him too, because he actually caught Xerath right after in a good ult. So basically, Trashy had a really big burden this game. He didn't play perfect, but he lived up for it. He lived up to it because he actually ended up winning his team the game.
Yeah, I feel like it's important for us to stress that because we're being very negative on the side of Splyce, but recognizing that engage, that TP flank and pulling that off, we got to give some credit to that because that's the reason why they pulled it all the way to 1-1.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's something this team wouldn't have been able to do properly coming into the split, you know, if we go a few months back here. So obviously, some synergy there working out. Also, Wonderware is a guy who got better and better during the split. And
how do you call him?
The Godware, well, basically in the top lane. Like in a game like this, he's Godware for sure because he had some good flanks on Fiora. He obviously picked up a lot of kills. He got to the 2-item spike we were talking about, you know, just during the game, how Fiora has to reach that point to have an impact. And then
kill the Poppy 1v1.
Kill the Poppy 1v1, and then good for Trashy as well, honestly, and his confidence in this series that, yeah, you have a few flash fails where you try like body slam flash. He also had one at Baron. But then you also have some very good ultis where you're actually setting up the picks that buy you more time because every time you kill someone in this poke comp, with like just one pick, the Pokemon has to fall back.
Yep.
Because they can't afford going into a straight team fight, and Giants just got caught out.
And
so
Sunstar wanted to 1v1 as Jhin, or 1v4 as Jhin from a very close range, and it wasn't ideal.
I also would like to point out Trashy's mental strength, because as I said, he had a very big burden this game, and it's not really about how he did good and did bad, but how he did bad, and then after basically giving the enemy team Nash, he ended up doing good straight after, right? So that's a really hard thing to have, and not every pro player has it.
That's a guy who played in NA, man. He's resilient.
Anti-tilt. You know, he's been in NA. He's used to these throws happening, and like he knows how to bounce back. And that's what we see here.
Yeah, let's take a look at the final team fight. Obviously, we saw Splyce taking the game off this play and recognizing what they should do in that situation. Here's what they had the upper hand, by the way. And
so if you play Graves jungle, don't try and flank.
Especially when you're 4v5. Xerath is not even there. He's coming from bottom lane. So
you have a dash.
This fight was just Graves getting caught, the whole team being too far up, and everyone just dying one by one. And eventually, Godware, as you call him, just taking the game for his team.
Yeah, and cleans it up in the end, and obviously
That's
Sunstar
infamous.
trying to be the hero in the end. Obviously
If he
impossible
was
for him
Lucian, this would have
to
worked.
escape.
Maybe.
I'm sure Fiora with a what
Yeah.
3-second dash would just catch up at some point and then end up killing you. So
He didn't even have swiftness boots, and he was faster than the guy with swiftness boots.
dashing forward anyway, you know.
In
That's
any
Fiora
case-
late game.
In any case, 1-1, all squared, and as it goes in best of fives in a promotion tournament, we have no idea. Or is this the boost that Splyce needed?
I mean,
Best of 3 now.
it might not be the boost they needed, but had they gone down 0-2, early picking Azir in 2 games and trying to like steal it away from Pepe and then getting the poke counter picks, I think mentally they could be completely broken. So just taking that one game and making it dead even, and as you said, going to BO3 now is super, super important.
I think Giants can come back from it because they had the game, then they kind of just threw it. But at the same time, you can also argue that Giants could actually become really stressed out because of this game and maybe even change their pick and ban, which I think was really good. But maybe they feel like the Fiora was too strong or the Gragas was too strong and they just collapse.
This is where the mind games come in. Also, we're in a position where we can hear the players screaming. It's something we usually can't because the crowd is usually louder. Now there isn't any here, and the players, you can really hear the fire. The Pepe screaming is not something I've heard over the split, so they're all fired up, of course, very important. And Splyce have brought the series to 1-1. We will be right back with a look at Game 3, so stay with us.
Looking for Sunstar, incredibly low, but Exhaust is on, and Wisdom steps right forward. Curtain call not even needed, and they just blow Nisbeth back. 1, 2, 3 shots, and he's going. Oh, they got hustling, they took him out already. It's Senkux with the credit, but Nisbeth gets knocked back, and now the Azir's on the hunt. Meanwhile, Wonderwear from the backside kills Sunstar. Now Smithy trying to chase Wonderwear in, knocks him into his team, but the rest leave him all for dead, forcing him to flash away. The barrel comes in to slow down Sunstar and Pepe right behind him. Capitalize for the win, picking up the ace again in just under 40 minutes. They've evened this series.